Yo guys, what is going on? Now we got an EX6 rulings video for you guys. Going to be talking about all the new mechanics as well as card interactions, and common rulings may be stuff that's a little bit confusing, typical of what I've done in past videos. And so yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. There's lots of cool archetypes in the set: Dominimon, Ragnaloard, we got the Demon Lords, 3 Great Angels, there's a bunch of more stuff, so let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing I want to talk about is, of course, the new Blast DNA mechanic, which is unique to, so far at least, Ragnaloard Ace as well as Dominimon Ace. So the first thing I want to talk about is you can DNA Digivolve these guys like normal, just like the previous ones, with the specified color. So it says DNA Digivolve red-black level 6 cost 0 or yellow-purple level 6 cost 0. Now that's just DNA Digivolving like normal on your turn using those materials. However, if you want to use the hand counter effect, you need to specifically have Andromon, Lady Devi, or in the case of Ragnaloard, Duranda plus Brywaludra. Okay, so those ones are name specific, and the way these ones work, notice how the old aces say Blast Digivolve, your Digimon may Digivolve into this card without paying the cost. So, for example, if your opponent, I don't know, like let's say they've got this thing on the field and we've got the appropriate target, so maybe we've got something like this Super Eager on the field. We can go ahead and hold swing security, and then we can go ahead, and this is in our hand, we can go ahead and, counter with the Screwdemon Ace and, resolve its effect. The way these ones work is you can't only do it with one Digimon. So even if I have something like a Brywaludra on the field, so maybe my field is something like this, and I've got the Ragnaloard Ace in hand, what specifically needs to happen is one of your specified Digimon and one of the specified card in the hand may DNA Digivolve into this card. So what it's saying is the thing in the hand needs to fuse with the thing on the field. So in the case of Ragnaloard, if we've got a field like this, our opponent declares an attack, we've got Brywaludramon, which is one of the specified cards. You can only use this thing on the field, fuse this in the hand, and then boom, you've performed your Blast DNA on your opponent's turn by using the other material from your hand. Now, in the case of, let's say, if you've got both of these on field and like nothing in hand, your opponent declares an attack, you can't actually use Blast DNA because it specifically says one specified Digimon and one specified card in the hand. It means one of the things needs to be on the field and the other one needs to be on the hand. If you have something like this, you can't fuse both of the things on the field into Ragnaloard, with the other one has to come from hand. So it kind of seems a little bit weird. I mean, it makes it better ultimately because you really only need to have one stack on the field, and your opponent is threatened by this card. But yeah, that's not just something to keep in mind. It works the exact same way with Dominimon Ace. If you want to use the Blast DNA, you need either Andromon or Lady Devi on the field, and then the other one in the hand, and then if you fuse from hand and field in order to make this. And in this case, what would happen is obviously I'd go ahead and do this, resolve Ragnaloard's effect, trash the top card of their security, unaffected, devolve, delete one of their Digimon, and then that all resolves before the attack, just like normal. And then again, as a reminder, maybe in this case, like let's say, I don't know, like let's say they're attacking with this, I choose to pop I don't know, the Lilith or something, they don't use the protection, and then I've got the blocker as well. Since all the counter step effects occurred before block timing, I can now go ahead and maybe block this swing if I so wanted to. So even though this thing wasn't on the field, just works the same way as like Mega Gargo or any of the other kind of ace blockers we've seen before. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of Blast DNA. Kind of makes sense once you get used to it, but a lot going on there. Okay, the next deck I wanted to talk about is going to be the 3 Great Angels deck, especially Dominimon, just because this card is kind of central to your strategy and raises a couple questions as to kind of a little bit more complicated effects as to how this protection works. Okay, so basically this card says all turns when one of your Digimon with the Archangel, Archangel, 3 Great Angels trait would leave the battle area other than one of your effects or in battle, trash top card of your security, prevent it from leaving. Okay, seems simple enough. So we've got a Dominimon here himself, which has a rule box that says he's Angel, so it includes himself. Ophani is of course 3 Great Angels, and then we've got this thing, which I guess also is Angel. So we've got all these guys can be protected. So let's say in the case of our opponent just has like a single targeting effect. Let's say they go ahead and have a Ragnaloard. They're going to DNA Digivolve, resolving the Ragnaloard's effect. Okay, so they're going to trash top card of my security. And then they're going to you know, give itself protection, and then devolve everything, nothing to devolve, and then delete one of my Digimon. They're gonna choose this Alphani Ace because they want, you know, to gain back memory off overflow. In this case, Alphani Ace would leave the battle area. It's being sent to the trash. I can go ahead and use Domini's effect, trash this card. You know, unfortunate that's a tamer, but trash that card, prevent Alphani from leaving. All effects are resolved, and we're good to go. Okay, seems pretty straightforward. What happens when you have effects that target more than one thing at one time? So let's say in this case, they've got something like Full Metal Blaze. Again, I don't know why they'd be playing this in Ragnaloard. Let's assume we've got a blue source here. So I'm going to go ahead and our opponent's going to play this for 8, and then they're going to use this effect where, I guess to illustrate this, let's give ourselves a level 4 here. So let's put Angemon on the field. So we're going to have Angemon here. So they're going to use this, return 2 of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon to their opponent's hand. So then they're going to target Angemon here, and then so interruptive effect of a Domini, we're going to go ahead and trash 1 security to prevent the Angemon from leaving. Then we're going to resolve the rest of this effect where it says then if your opponent has 8 or more cards in hand, which I do, we're going to return 1 of your opponent's level 6 or higher to the bottom of the deck. So they're going to again target Ophanimon Ace, and then since this is a separate instance of removal here, I can use Domini's effect again because it's not a once per turn or anything. So we're going to go ahead and trash to prevent the Ophanimon from being bottom decked, and then this option is resolved. So in that instance, I did actually have to have 2 security to protect my field from that, because there were essentially 2 different removal effects, but it's all part of the same effect. This is the same thing with Leviamon as well. If you're playing into Demon Lords, if they resolve a Leviamon in this case, it's gonna chomp my, I forget if it's level or play cost, but my highest and lowest, and I'll have to protect 2 times if I want to do so. I mean, maybe in some instances you wouldn't, but I'm just saying, like, generally if you want to protect your field, you're gonna have to do it multiple times. Okay, what about in the case, let's say, you know, let's say they've resolved a ruin mode, or I guess, yeah, let's say they've resolved a ruin mode. Everything on my field is minus 5,000. Say we have some weird scenario like this where they've got this inherited from Guillaumon X, adding 1,000 maximum to the DP they can delete, and then for some reason they've resolved a ruin mode for 5 or whatever. Or I guess let's say they're keeping turn. So we're gonna have ruin mode minus 5,000 in my field. So everything is this is 1k, this is 7, this is 7, this is 2, and then they're going to play a Crimson Blaze, I guess in this case for 2, and Crimson Blaze will delete everything with 6,000 or lower, but because of this thing, it'll be 7,000 or lower. So wiping my board. In this case, because and of course because they would leave the field, we can use Domini's effect to prevent my cards from leaving. The thing is, in this case, because all of them are leaving at the same time, we can actually get away with just trashing 1 off of Domini's effect to protect our entire board. Basically because these are all going at the same time, and it's not based on the Digimon leaving, it's just when one of them would leave, or yeah, when they would leave, and then all of these trigger at the same time, versus something like Full Metal Blaze where it's 2 separate removal effects. Crimson Blaze is just wiping the board. So then in this case, I could just go ahead and trash 1 security, protect my whole board, and then we're good to go after that. So there's really like a lot of really cool things you can do with Domini, and it can get a little bit confusing, but the thing to keep in mind is that this all turns is not once per turn. Single targeting removal, you know, you have to do it for each time. Multi-targeting removal if it's all at the same time. Crimson Blaze. I can't think of, like, I don't know, Gewalt Schwarmer, other like board wipe, pseudo board wipes. I guess something like I don't know, Death X, if, like, let's say if my whole field was, like, all the same play cost, like, something like that. Those sorts of effects you really only have to trash 1 time. So yeah, that is Domini and 3 Great Angels. What I want to talk about is going to be 7 Great Demon Lords, and there's a couple of really interesting things in this deck, just because there's a lot of stuff going on, and you know, multiple effects resolving at one time. So let's specifically talk about Gate of Deadly Sins and kind of the bread and butter plays of this deck. So the kind of typical thing is, okay, let's say you know, it's my turn, and then I've got the Gate of Deadly Sins on field. Start a main phase, it'll delete everything, or I guess I'll place an egg under, but in this case I already have all of them. And then, you know, we're going to delete all my Digimon. I don't have anything, and then if this effect deleted, I can place something for my trash. And I mean, I don't know, let's say like these guys are all in my trash. So then I could place one of those 7th grade Demon Lords cards. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to, play Creepy. Creepy's going to pop something, mill based on the level. So, I mean, in this case, let's say they've got an Angemon, and then I decide to pop the Angemon. I'm going to mill 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then, it's a blocker and whatever, and then we actually only play this for 3, 6, 9, 4, 3. Because of the fact that it says when one of your Digimon with 7th grade Demon Lords would be played, you can reduce the cost by 3. And if it has 5 or more with different names in its Digivolution cards, you may reduce the cost by 4 instead, making it minus 12, so that would be free. Okay, the thing I want to talk about first is going to be, number 1, the reduction. So let's say in this instance we have 5 different sources. I don't know, let's just put 5 of these cards. So Belphemon, I guess, yeah, so that's 5. So we have 5 different cards with with unique names or whatever. So you can reduce the play cost by 4 instead of 3. So what this means is, in the case of, like, let's say I want to play this Belphemon or something. Let's say I'm at 0. So if I want to play this for 13, I can reduce the cost by 12. Putting my opponent to 1, resolving its on play or whatever. The other thing that's kind of cool is, because each of these is a separate instance of when one of your Digimon would be played, you may reduce it by 4 instead. What you can do is kind of mix and match the reduction based on, like, what threshold you want to give your opponent. So let's say in this case I'm playing this for 13. I could choose the first instance to reduce by 4, and then this one to reduce by 3, and then this one to reduce by 3. So making it like a minus 10 instead of a minus 12. So I don't know, for whatever reason, if I, like, let's say my opponent gave me 2, I could pay 3 for the Belphemon, putting them to 1. Or you could do just 3, 3, 3, paying 9, minus 9, paying 4 instead. Maybe if you started 3, you want to choke them to 1. Or you can mix and match. You can do 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 3, 4, 3, etc. Because they're all separate instances and because they're all optional to reduce by 4. So that's one of the really cool things I feel like that comes up in the mirror a lot. And, just keeping count of your memory. The other thing I want to mention is how exactly the gate resolves. Okay, so let's say in this case, I've got, I don't know, a couple of guys in my trash, and then it's going to be start of my main phase. My opponent gave me 2. The gate is going to delete all my Digimon, so then when Belphemon would leave, I can place a 7th grade Demon Lords from trash into the bottom of the evolution card, so then this interruptive effect will trigger. Let's put Lilith underneath, and then this dies, and then gate will resolve, putting a 7th grade Demon Lords underneath, so then I can just, like, let's say I just grab the same Belphemon, put that back in. So, and effectively, I've ramped 2 cards by just deleting 1, which is pretty cool. So that's definitely what the deck wants to do, is, like, get your guys on field, make sure they stick, and then that way you can ramp, like, 2 a turn, as opposed to, like, Royal Knights, which was really only, like, ramping 1 at best. So yeah, so that's like kind of the bread and butter play. It gets a little bit tricky when we introduce something like Lucemon into the mix. Okay, so let's say we've got something like this where we've got a Lucemon in trash, and then our field is, I don't know, something like this. And then so Lucemon itself says, when this Digimon would leave the battle area by returning a Lucemon from its sources or from trash to bottom of the deck, you may play a Satan mode or level 6 with 7 Great Demon Lords from trash without paying the cost. So let's say, like, my opponent passed me 2. Start of my main phase, I can go ahead and resolve the 7 Great, the Deadly Sins or whatever. So it's going to wipe my board, and then at this point, both of these interruptive effects will trigger. I can choose whichever one I want to use first. So let's say I use Creepymon first. So I'm going to use Creepymon. I'm going to stick, I don't know, Belphemon Sleep Mode underneath the gate, and then I'm going to go ahead and resolve the Lucemon Chaos Mode, which is, let's say, I'm going to bottom deck this Lucemon to play out this Creepymon. So then we're going to bot deck this, play out this Creepymon. And then now both of these interruptive effects have resolved, and then now gate will fully resolve, deleting these. And then if you did delete something, you can then place a 7th Grade Demon Lord. So then let's go ahead and place the Lucemon Chaosmon that was deleted. This thing is not deleted because it wasn't on the field when the gate itself triggered, if that makes sense. Okay, because it was brought back by Lucemon, as Lucemon and the other Creepy were already dying. Okay, so in this sense, we've already ramped two cards, and then we get the Creepymon on play immediately after that. So then on play, like, let's say, I don't know, let's say I pop this guy mill 7, so and I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot after that. But anyway, so then I can resolve the Creepymon effect, and then I haven't even used, like, the Deadly Sins effect yet. So then I can go ahead and, since I have 5 unique sources, I can play the Lilithmon for like 1 cost, use its on play, and then, you know, go from there. I'm already set up for Nagutamon. So this deck feels pretty strong, and I mean, that's a whole separate video, but my point is there's a lot of kind of complicated things, especially when you involve Lucemon, but just take it one effect at a time, and remember that all these interruptives kind of effectively do the same thing. Lucemon's the only one that's really different, but if multiple interruptives are going off at once, you can resolve the kind of order of them. The other thing to kind of mention is, as far as start of main effects, something like, let's say we've got, where is that guy? Lucemon here. Okay, so let's say we've got something like this, where let's say last turn we had played the Lilithmon sleep mode, tucked the rage mode underneath, and then we'd played like Lucemon to pass turn or something, and then our opponent's going to pass back to us, and then we have 3 start of main effects that are going to trigger, or I guess at the end of the opponent's turn this thing is going to come off. So we have 3 start of main effects that are going to trigger. So we have this one, we have this one, and then we have this one, and we can resolve them in any order, and it kind of matters which you do. So let's say if we resolved Gate first, we would delete all of these, and then since it deleted something, place any of these 7 Great Demon Lords underneath here. Like let's say we brought back the sleep mode, but then since these left the field, they can no longer resolve their effects because they need to stay on the field to resolve the effects. So it's kind of bad if you do that way. What you want to do is start of main. I mean, you want to do either of these first, but you could do start of main, reveal top 3. So reveal top 3, add a 7 Great Demon Lord. So let's you know, add Lucemon, trash the rest. And then we can do this start of main, delete all of our opponents level 5 or lower. It gets plus 3,000 second attack since we have less than 6 cards. And then we do this effect to pop both of these, and then place a 7 Great Demon Lord, so then we can maybe put this one underneath, and then we're good to go. So just kind of a lot of effects going on at once. This deck can get a little bit complicated, but that's pretty much everything I want. Oh, there was one last thing actually. Leviamon was one thing I wanted to talk about, the old one. This card comes up in the mirror, and I wanted to shout out my buddy Tessero for pointing this out to me. So let's say if you're, I don't know, if you're playing the mirror or something, we've got, let's say we've got this Lilithmon on the field, and then what we can do. Actually, you know what? Let's say it's Lucemon instead. So let's say it's Lucemon on the field here. Our opponent is going to, I don't know, slam Levia, put us to whatever amount of memory, and Leviamon is going to trigger. So then we have, your opponent has many more Digimon or Total Tamers. Delete one of your opponent's highest level and then one of their lowest level. So it's going to resolve here, deleting highest level since I've got equal or more things. So it's going to delete Lucemon, Lucemon's effect. We're going to go ahead and bot deck the Lucemon, little Lucemon here, to then play a 7 Great Demon Lords from the trash. So then let's go ahead and play Creepymon here, and then that first part is going to resolve, deleting the Lucemon, and then we're still in the middle of doing Levia's effect, so then it deletes one of our opponent's Digimon with the lowest level, which is now this Creepymon here, and then if we wanted to, we can then use Creepymon's effects, and then, I don't know, we can put Lucemon in the sources here. Creepymon dies, Leviamon will gain 2 memory since 2 things were deleted, and then we don't get the on-play from the Creepymon because it left the field before it could resolve the on-play, or even trigger it in that sense. So Leviamon can kind of go crazy in the mirror, especially because if you're floating into something else with Lucemon, you just kind of, I mean, you get to rent one, so maybe it is worth it, but you lose like 2 memory basically because your opponent chomped 2 things. So yeah, Demon Lord's complicated deck, lots of stuff going on. Let's move on. The last kind of card I want to talk about is going to be Lilithmon, I guess pertaining to 7 Great Demon Lords, but this is kind of its own deck as well. So we're going to be talking about how exactly the first 2 effects work. So let's say I had Digivolved or played this Lilithmon, and then it says until the end of your opponent's turn, one of your opponent's Digimon gains, end of your turn, delete this Digimon. So let's say in this case I give it to this Greymon stack over here. Keep in mind that this effect doesn't say like you have to delete this Digimon, it's just the end of turn trigger to delete this Digimon. So let's say I pass my opponent to 3 and then they just like pass turn back. End of turn will trigger, so then we're gonna go ahead and trigger the Greymon's effect to delete itself. But then in this case, since we have Greymon X, you can just go ahead and detach 2 to then prevent that deletion, and that's the end of story. So it doesn't really get around protection effects, but I guess it does force them to trigger. The other thing is going to be The alternates when this Digimon would be deleted in battle or leave the battle area other than in battle. Deleting a level 5 or lower Digimon prevented from leaving play. You can in fact choose your opponent's Digimon for this. It doesn't say otherwise. It's just by deleting one level 5 or lower. So let's say I don't know, your opponent like slammed a Leviamon or something. Let's say they have more stuff than us, so it's only going to be deleting the lowest level Digimon. So it's going to delete this Lilithmon, and the Lilithmon will delete, let's say in this case, this Archaeangemon, delete this to prevent it from leaving the battle area. Leviamon won't gain a memory, and then we will trash the security from our opponent with the Lilith effect. Now, in the case of, let's say our opponent had this weird field, Leviamon will attempt to delete this. We're going to attempt to delete the Greymon stack to prevent Lilith from leaving. Our opponent is going to use the Greymon protection. What happens here is, because this effect says by deleting one level 4 lower, it has to actually delete it in order to prevent this card from leaving. So because the Greymon wasn't deleted, the Levia will actually kill the Lilith, and then they will gain the memory off of that. So just keep in mind how exactly that effect works. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Demon Lords. Let's talk about Chaosmon. The cards I want to talk about, honorable mentions include Ultimatechaosmon here. This card is really funny, but just a couple things I want to clarify. Number one, the DNA Digivolve and the partition, it doesn't have to be a yellow and black as well as a green and purple. So what I mean is, like, you don't necessarily have to fuse with something like Belphemon Rage Mode and like Baihue being yellow black. It's either or. It can be yellow or black or green or and green or purple. So meaning like you can fuse like a Cherubimon Ace plus like a Lilith, not Lilith, you need black. Like plus like a Beelzemon. Okay, so you need one of yellow black and one of green purple, and then same thing applies to partition. And then the thing about this card that's really funny and really cool is because partition says when this Digimon like would leave the battle area, you can play one of each of the specified cards. Like let's say you have aces underneath this stack. Let's say you've got again like a Cherubimon Ace plus like plus like a purple card, so like plus a Beelzemon or something. So then when, let's say your opponent gets rid of the Chaosmon here, and then what'll happen is you'll play those cards out. You won't actually lose any memory due to overflow, because overflow says, as this card moves from the battle area or under a card to another area, lose 4 memory. It is moving from under a card to still the battle area, so it's not going to the hand, to the deck, security, trash, or whatever. It is still in the battle area, so you don't actually get the overflow or lose the overflow. So that's a really nice thing about this card. And then also partition doesn't specify that you don't get on play, so you do actually get the on plays of aces, for example. In this case, the Cherubi Ace and the Beelzemon will trigger their on plays, so you can do some really funny stuff with that. So just wanted to mention Ultimatechaosmon. And then lastly, this isn't really a ruling thing, just like a kind of cute thing you can do, which I thought was funny because this card didn't seem that good to me. But Mythical Arms of Salvation, if you're playing Ragnaloard, you may place one Legend Arms trait from your Digimon from your trash as one of your Digimon's bottom Digivolution card, then place it in the battle area. The effect I really want to talk about is when one of your Digimon would leave the battle area other than your effects, you may play Legend Arms trait from that Digimon's Digivolution cards without paying the cost. This does not specify level or anything. You can actually stick any Legend Arms under any of your other Digimon, and then play any Legend Arms from that guy's source. So if you want to like stick a Ragna Ace or like a Durandamon or anything, because these have Legend Arms, and then you can just stick a Ragna Ace, one of your guys dies, and it also doesn't specify like not by battle, it's just other than by your effects. So you can like play this, like stick Ragna Ace under like one of your weenies, like a Zubamon or something, and then you just like swing this in security and then effect play out Ragna Ace, and you get his on play, and it's pretty funny. But again, I don't think this will be very good, but I thought it was at least worth mentioning in case you're a Ragna player. But yeah, guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Let me know down in the comment section below if there's any other rulings or questions or whatever you guys had. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.